Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about generics. It's a very important concept in Java. So basically, in C++ programming, we're having a concept called as templates. The templates concept has been replaced in Java with generics. So basically, what is a generics? So for example, if we have three types of arrays are there, like if you are having a integer array, and if you are having a string array, or if you have some any array of any type, we write different sorting methods to sort that arrays. But by using generics, we can use a single sorting method to sort all the different types of integer array and string array. That is the main advantage of the generic programming. And so for example, if you are having a set of related methods, all the methods are doing the same activity, then a single method is enough. So for example, if you are having a several classes are doing the same activity, it can be replaced with a single class. So that is the main advantage of the generics. So wherever you are doing a same activity, due to the type difference, where you are using integer, float, type difference, if you are using different methods for each and every type, rather than having the separate method for each and type, the single method will support different data types. It is that is simple about generics. So and also by using generics, we can also achieve compile time safety. You can also achieve the so how we are going to achieve the compile time safety, and also the type casting is also required. We also discussed, for example, if you want to convert a data type from higher end to the lower end, we need to perform typecasting. If you want to store an integer value into byte, so compulsory we need to perform typecasting. The typecasting is not required. So these are the main advantage of the generics. So in this session, we are going to discuss about how generics are used with respect to a class and with method and interface. So with a simple, so rather than explaining this theory with a simple program, how a generic method is going to work out, I will explain. So see, first of all, see this particular one. Here I have an integer array. I have created an array called as int array, which is storing the integer values, and I have a double array which contains all the double values, and I have a char array, it is also contains the characters. So like that I have three arrays. Now what I want to do is I want to print the elements in these arrays in the program. So normally, due to the different data types you are having, different arrays types you are having, we need to write three different methods. The single method cannot print all the three arrays. So but see the program here, I am calling a single print array method. So here I am calling the only for the integer, for printing the integer elements I am calling the print array, and for double array also I am calling the same print array method, and for char array also I am printing the print. You may think that SAR is maybe using the concept of overloading, but we are not using any overloading concept. What is overloading concept? Method name same, parameters are changing, but here I am not using any overloading concept. I am straight away using a single method to print all the elements in this. See the program. What is the generic method? When we call it the method as generic method is, there are several rules we need to follow. What is the first rule we need to follow is, if we are having a return type, if we are having, every method is having a return type. Before the method return type, we need to proceed with angular brackets, that is less than and greater than symbol should be presented. That is the first rule we need to follow. And second name is, so for whatever the type parameters you are having, the parameter should be, so it not general parameters, it should be a type parameter. What is type parameter? I will just explain. Wait for 1 minute. So see here. So my method is print array. Here I am not returning any data, so that's why I am using void. But before the return type, what is the rule? We need to follow the angular brackets. So within these angular brackets, I am using a generic data type called as E. E means elements. So here we have, so And also, for example, here I am not see the program. Here I am passing an integer array. Here I am passing the double array. Here I am passing the character arrays. But I am not receiving it as a int of input array. I am not receiving it as a char of input array. I am not receiving it as double of input. I am simply calling it as e of. That is the advantage of generics. Here I am not. So how generally I am accepting both the integer, double and character is simply I mention as e. So that's why the Java compiler is e. So if I pass an integer, it will accept. If I pass the double, it accept. If I pass any data type, any primitive data type, it will be accepted. That's why this method is called as the generic method. Why? It is accepting all the different data type values. So once I have received it, all the data stored in my e of array. So by using the for each concept, I retrieve each and every element in my input array into a variable element, and I print that particular element with the help of the print statement. So we'll check once whether this program is going to work out or not. So give me 1 minute. Yes. So whatever the program I explained, the same program I am using. So check once whether the program is executed or not. So integer array values are printed, double array values printed, and character array also values are printed. So this is how the program is going. I again repeat the concept. So normally here I have 3 different arrays. So to print these 3 different arrays, we need 3 different methods. But here I am using the single method to print the 3 different arrays. How it is possible is with the help of the method called as the generic method. What is the syntax of generic method concept is, first before the return type we need to specify your generic method type, that is within angular brackets we need to specify the type parameter, and here also within the parameters also we need to mention e of. So the e of is going to retrieve both the integer, double and char also. So this is how we are achieved the generic with respect to the methods. So we will see the next concept. What is the next concept is generic classes. What is generic classes is, normally if you return a class which will store a class of integers only, it will accept only integers. But here we can write one class, it will take both the integers, it will take both floats, all different types of data will be accepted by the single class. So how it is possible, we will see. So see this. So what we will return, normal Java program, how we return, we write class test, and after that, for example, if you are having any instance variable, you write some like int a. But here I am not returning as int a. What I have written, TOBJ. Here I mentioned that the class is going to accept the generic data. It may get integer data, or it may get float data, it may get double, whatever the different data is going. So that is why I mentioned that my class test is generic. So how we made a class a generic class is, so after your class name we need to, within the angular brackets we need to put the symbol T, and automatically wherever you are having the requirement of a variable, before the variable you should not specify any primitive like int a, float b, like you cannot write. You can simply write as the T space your variable name. Here I have one variable is required, so before that particular variable name put T, and now I have a constructor, so test. So for example, if you have, how we are going to declare a constructor, normally So test of int a we write, but here not writing anything into obj or float obj. I am returning my parameter. My parameter name is obj. Its type is t. So here my parameter name and my instance variable name both are same. We may get the problem of instance variable hiding. To avoid that problem of instance variable hiding problem, here I am using the this. So this dot obj is equal to obj. So what is a generic class is whenever you are having a requirement of any variable or a parameter, then no need to specify whether it is an integer or a float. Simply mention that t. So see here also I have one method called as get object. It is returning this particular obj. So here obj not an integer or a float, is a generic. So that's why I mentioned public t. So what I'm going to generate any kind of value I can. That's why I'm not written as a int get object or float get object. I'm written as a t get object. So simply I'm writing this obj. So this is kind of the class is called as the generic class. I think everyone can understand. See how now we are going to create the objects for that particular generic class. So now my class, what is our class name? Test. And here my test class has to store the integer data. So how what I am doing here? Test integer. So my class will accept only integers. So test integer iobj is equal to new test of integer. So I am here passing the value 15. So automatically the constructor is going to call and a particular value 15 is going to be stored here. So, next step. For example, now I want to pass my string data. How will I pass my string data? Test string is obj is equal to new test string. So now I can, so class is same. Here I am not returning for integer one class, for a string I am not writing another class. The same class is accepting the same constructor. What are the same constructor I written here? It is accepting both the value 15 and also string also. That is the reason why. So we will see whether the program is going to be executed or not. So the single same class itself is accepting both the integer and string also. So see this. So the methods are called and they pass the value 15 and jigs for jigs. So this type of a class is called as the generic class. So hope you understand what is meant by generic class. So the same constructor, the same method in the class, it will accept both the integer value and string. Like that you can pass any, you can create a class for the float, you can create a class for the double also. So now we are going to discuss what is meant by generic interface. So generic interface is also similar to the generic class. So I will explain once again how we are going to create a generic interface. So see here. So interface, my interface name is A, and after that to make my interface available for all the types of data, I mentioned t in the angular brackets. So I have one dummy method without the body, abstract method, public void add. So the add method may take an integer or a float. That's why I mentioned t. So now I have my class box which is implementing the interface A, but the box class wants to implement the A interface by taking the integer values. How I made it? A of, I did angular brackets, I mentioned my integer. Now my box class will accept the integer values. So see here, what is the method we have in the interface A, that is add method. So now I am providing the body for that particular add method. That's why I have written public void add integer t. So I have written here integer t. So now it is going to, so whatever the value I pass this add method, it will be taken by the particular add method and stores into this particular instance variable into t. So both my parameter name and class name, instance variable name, both are same. That's why I am using here this operator. This dot t is equal to t. So that value is again retrieved with the help of the get method. So this is how we are going to use generic interfaces. See, one more, I have one more class also which is implementing the A interface, but here I am taking only float value, the same thing. So like this, we may create, so whatever the single interface is there, here what is the we are doing is, for integer one interface, for example, if you have an integer, if interface will take only integers, like for that we need to create one interface. If it takes float, another interface need to provide. But here a single interface itself is we created, which is useful for the both for the accepting integer values and float values also. That is the main advantage of the generic interface. So now see how we are going to create the objects for those classes. So we have two classes, one is a box and second one is the box one. So for these two classes we have created the objects, and for the box class object A, I am calling the method add, I am passing the value 10. Why? Because box is accepting only integers. And for box 1 class I created an object B and I am calling the method add. The box 1 class is accepting float values. That's why I am passing the value 10.23f. So if it doesn't mention f, automatically Java compiler treat as a double value. That's the reason why we need to, when compulsory, we need to mention the f. Otherwise, take a double, you get the runtime error. So whatever the values are stored in that particular box method classes, I am retrieving those values by using the methods a.get and b.get. So this is how the single generic interface is implemented by the two classes. So this is called as the generic interfaces. So now basically we have discussed three concepts. What are three concepts is generic class, generic method, generic interface. What is meant by a generic class is a single class useful for handling different types of data. Method also same. So rather than writing 3-4 methods for different data types, single method is enough, and for interface also. So depending upon the data, you should not create a multiple interfaces. A single interface may be used by the different classes to provide a body for that particular method. So these are the main topics which with respect to generics. So now we are going to discuss one more. So at the starting of the class, I told that we can achieve the type safety in the generics. So how we are going to achieve the types? First of all, I will tell you where the type safety is gone. So for example, here I am using the utility package. We are having a class called as array list, which is used to store the multiple elements. So here I created one object for the array list class AL. So within that particular AL, I am added one value Sachin, I added another value Rahul, and also I added one more value 10. Why? Because here I mentioned it as an array list to store the set of values, but I am not able to mention whether it is array list is going to store only integers, or is only going to have a float values, or is only going to have a string values. That is the why 10 is also value taken by the array list. But what is my expectation is I want to store only stored only strings, so I want to retrieve them back. So what I have made, string s1 is equal to string of a1 dot get of 0. So retrieve the value Sachin. So it successfully it is string automatically converted and stored into the s1. After I return string s2 is equal to string of a1 dot get 1. So here Rahul is also no problem, string no problem. But when the statement is executed, string s3 is equal to string of a1 dot get 2, what will happen? Here I have the value is 10. The Java so program successfully compiled, but while the program is going to execute, here we are going to get the runtime exception. So here the type safety is not there. So how we are going to achieve the same type safety with the help with the same program, but we change it to the generics. What we made is, now clearly we mentioned whatever the array list we are using, it is going to store only string. So in the Angular brackets I have mentioned as a string. Now the array list is going to accept only strings. So again I am added the Sachin, and after that again Rahul. Now I have added a1 dot add 10. I have written the, but before, so previously the program is successfully compiled, but while the program is executing only, we are getting this particular runtime exception. But here once the program is compiled, automatic compiler will generate that within the array list of AL, is a string, I cannot store a integer value. So this is how we are going to achieve the type safety. Next. And also typecasting is also, what is typecasting? Converting from one data type to the another data type. So that is called typecasting. But the typecasting is also avoided in the generics. See here. So in the previous program, whatever the values I am retrieving from the array list, I am converting it is into string and storing into the particular string variable. But this kind of a typecasting is not required. So this kind of typecasting is not required. See here. Here now I am simply mentioned string s1 is equal to a1 dot get of 0. Why? Because I am clearly mentioned that array list is going to have store only string. So that is automatically the compiler will do that particular action. You need not to mention string of a1 dot get 0. Simply write string s1 is equal to. So this is the typecasting is also avoided. So these are the main advantages of generic. So the main advantage is the type safety, and second one is typecasting. Now all of you see this particular program. I'll give you 1 minute of time. Can you guess what is the problem with this particular program? What is the output? So many of us, what we think is the program output may be merit. Suddenly by seeing the program, we will think the program output merit, or you may think that the program anything else you are expecting. But what is this output to the program is compilation error.